Yine yasaklar ve ihlallerle dolu bir haftayı da ardımızda bıraktık. Ülkenin ifade özgürlüğü panoramasında değişen hiçbir şey yok maalesef. Davalar ve soruşturmalara yenileri eklendi. Festivallere yönelik yasaklamalar hız kesmeden devam etti. Çocukları için adalet isteyen ailelere, haklarını arayan işçilere polis saldırdı. Artık neredeyse her eylemde kolluk şiddetine uğrayan gazetecilerin fişlendikleri de ortaya çıktı. Ve daha fazlası. İşte bizim gözümüzden bir haftalık bir özet.
Singer Gülşen has been arrested on charges of public incitement to hatred and enmity and denigration after being targeted because of her statements about the religious vocational high school students as she was joking with a friend on stage during her concert, and was released with a house arrest verdict. The indictment prepared against her was accepted by the Istanbul 11th Criminal Court of First Instance. The first hearing of the case will be held on October 21.
A lawsuit was filed against Mesopotamia Agency owner Ferhat Çelik and Cihan TV owner İdris Yayla. Mesopotamia Agency has previously announced that the prosecutor ordering the detainment of two citizens who were tortured and were thrown off a helicopter in Çatak district of Van was the same prosecutor as the one ordering the detainment of the journalist who revealed the incident. The news in question was also shared by Cihan TV. The journalists were charged with targeting those who took part in the fight against terrorism, and the first hearing of the case will be held on November 22nd at the Van Second Assize Court.
The İzmir Karşıyaka Chief Public Prosecutor's Office prepared an indictment against İzmir Bar Association, which reacted to the homophobic expressions used by the Director of Religious Affairs Ali Erbaş in his Friday sermon on April 24, 2020, with a statement titled, "Despite the hate, long live life." The prosecutor's office requested that İzmir Bar Association President Özkan Yücel and 10 members of the Board of Directors be tried at the İzmir Assize Court on charges of publicly insulting religious values.
The Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office launched an investigation against journalist Can Dündar on charges of insulting the president and insulting the state. As part of the investigation, the journalist was charged for his statements on YouTube on August 31st. Dündar shared the revelations of mafia leader Sedat Peker together with the drawings in Leman magazine, which had the title, "Turkey is looking for its prosecutor." In his live broadcast, Dündar had said, "Don't wait in vain. That brave prosecutor will not come."
An investigation has been launched against journalist Oktay Candemir, who reported on the illegal car rental tender of one metropolitan municipality worth 2.5 million liras. The journalist was charged with slander and insult in the investigation launched upon the complaint of Çetin Can, a former Justice and Development Party executive, who took the tender with a method that could only be activated in the case of natural disasters, epidemics, and wars, according to the public procurement law.
An investigation was launched against Republican People's Party Deputy Chair Zeynep Altıok upon the complaint of Eskişehir Governor Erol Yıldız after she reacted on social media against the cancellation of Anadolu Fest by Eskişehir Governorate.
The Muğla Medical Chamber announced that a disciplinary investigation was initiated by the Provincial Directorate of Health against 400 physicians, midwives, and nurses who participated in the strikes organized in March, June, and July to demand safe and humane working conditions.
Workers protesting in front of the Emlak Konut Real Estate Investment Trust in order to receive compensation and the money for their overtime wages, and at least 15 managers of the Dev Yapı İş Union were beaten and detained. Journalist Zeynep Kuray, who followed the protest, was forcibly removed from the area with the police intervention and was prevented from reporting news.
The police intervened against the Justice Watch protests on its 24th week as well, in which relatives of ill prisoners gathered at Istanbul Kartal Square. Citing the governorate's ban against protests, the police prevented the journalists from taking images and battered them. Nearly 20 people were detained, including Etkin News Agency reporter Elif Bayburt.
The Dicle Ferhat Journalists Association published its report recording the violations of rights against journalists in August. According to the data of the association, 5 journalists were detained in 1 month, 2 of them were arrested. Investigations were launched against 4 journalists and lawsuits were filed against 4 journalists. 5 journalists were exposed to ill treatment and 8 journalists were threatened. 5 journalists were prevented as they were following news information. 4 news websites were shut down in August and access to 114 news websites was also blocked. In addition, it was recorded that the Radio and Television Supreme Council imposed fines against 5 broadcasts, suspended broadcasts for 3 media organizations, and banned 22 broadcasts.
It has been revealed that the General Director of Security has tagged 20 journalists, including Journalists Union of Turkey President Gökhan Durmuş and Dicle Ferhat Journalists Association co-chair Dicle Müftüoğlu. The journalists were tagged through the Journalists Post, a publication of the International Journalists Association, which was established in Germany in 2019. In a letter, Anti-Terror Branch Deputy Chairman Erdoğan Kartal sent to the anti-terrorism branches in 11 provinces with the inscription "Confidential," he requested that studies be carried out on journalists in line with the instructions received from the judicial authorities.
The publication and distribution of Walls to be Destroyed, the poetry book of the People's Democratic Party's former imprisoned co-chair Figen Yüksekdağ, published by Ceylan Publishing, was banned on the grounds of making propaganda for a terrorist organization. Antalya 6th Criminal Court of Peace has ruled the book to be pulled off shelves and for the copies that were confiscated to be destroyed.
Previously targeted by Turkish religious organizations and foundations officials union Çorum branch President İsmail Şanar for being an LGBTQI supporter and not conforming to the morals of the society. Aleyna Tilki's concert in Çorum that was organized by Osmancık municipality within the Pırlanta Rice Festival was cancelled.
Çağdaş Fest, which was planned to be held in Muğla between September 7th and 11th, was cancelled by the Fethiye District Governorate on the grounds that the organization did not obtain the necessary permission from the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, and that the event was not deemed appropriate in terms of security and environment. Stating that the ban decision was only announced 1 day before the event, organizer Çağdaş Adıgüzel stated that all necessary permissions were obtained.
The Istanbul Anatolian 4th Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block against the news by Cumhuriyet Daily columnist Barış Terkoğlu regarding the bribery allegations in the state railway standards with the headlines "Documented High-Speed Train Bribery. Siemens takes corruption to court to receive payment from Colin. High-speed bribery percentage," and "Now it's your turn."
The Diyarbakır 3rd Criminal Judicature of Peace censored the website of Etkin News Agency on the grounds of protection of national security and public order.
Access blocks continue against news on the allegations of criminal organization leader Sedat Peker. The news made on Peker's tweets about Borsa Istanbul and the Capital Market Board, and those mentioning Serhat Albayrak, as well as the news made on Peker's tweets about Hasan Yeşildağ and his brothers, known with the close relations with Erdoğan, were blocked from access with a decree issued by the Istanbul Küçükçekmece 1st Criminal Judicature of Peace.
The Afyonkarahisar 1st Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block on the news published by Afyon Post on August 31st, 2022, with the headline, "Here's how the people's 10 million Turkish liras was wasted."
The Istanbul Anatolian 4th Criminal Judicature of Peace imposed an access block on the news published in November 2020 when the Don't Be Silent platform announced the access block imposed on the news about TV100 channel boss Necat Gülseven and media group president Murat Kelketlioğlu being charged with threat, looting and blackmail.
The Constitutional Court ruled that the penalty fine imposed against the Union of Chambers of Turkish Engineers and Architects after its decisions taken in both the General Assembly and the Advisory Board regarding the constitutional referendum in which the presidential system was voted and which said it will subordinate the parliament and the executive power to the initiative of a single-person authority and will institutionalize the dictatorship, was a violation of freedom of expression.
Adli yılın açılmasıyla birlikte bizim de adliye mesaimiz kaldığı yerden devam ediyor. İşte bu hafta takip ettiğimiz davalarda yaşananlar.
The first hearing of the lawsuit filed against lawyer Efkan Bolac, who shared cartoonist Carlos Latov's drawings of the Soma massacre and Berkin Elvan on a social media account, was held at the Istanbul 52nd Criminal Court of First Instance on charges of insulting the president. The court denied the request for immediate acquittal and adjourned the hearing to January 24th.
The first hearing of the lawsuit filed against 52 students who were detained at the Çağlayan courthouse after they gathered there for their friends detained on the grounds of carrying a rainbow flag at Boğaziçi University was held at the Istanbul 17th Criminal Court of First Instance. The trial of the students will continue on January 13.
The first hearing of the lawsuit filed against 20 people, including 18 women who were detained as a result of the police intervention against the March 8 International Women's Day march held in Urfa in 2017, was held at the Urfa Second Criminal Court of First Instance. Two of the defendants, who were accused of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911 on the grounds that the governorate had previously imposed a protest ban, are also charged with insulting a public official in a chain of ways. The next hearing will be held on February 16th.
Mesopotamia Agency reporters and journalists Sadiye Eser and Sadık Topaloğlu were sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison each by the Istanbul 22nd Assize Court and charged of terrorist organization membership based on their journalistic activities, travels abroad, and their news noting being presented as criminal evidence.
Journalist Onur Öncü was acquitted in the lawsuit filed against him on the charge of insulting Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu, which was held at the Küçükçekmece 22nd Criminal Court of First Instance, with a simple trial procedure. The journalist had been charged based on the video posted on the YouTube channel of the özgürüz.org news portal in 2021 with the title, "There is an Interior Minister who wants to be the Hortum Süleyman of the country."
The trial of 22 lawyers, 3 of whom were arrested, including Contemporary Lawyers Association Chairman Selçuk Kozaçlı, continued at the Istanbul 18th Assize Court on charges of membership or management of a terrorist organization. The court decided for the 3 lawyers to remain under arrest and adjourned the hearing to November 7.
The second hearing of the lawsuit filed against Human Rights Association Ankara branch co-chair Fatih Kanat on the allegation of making propaganda for a terrorist organization was held at Ankara 25th Assize Court. The hearing was adjourned to October 19th for the preparation of the prosecutor's opinion on the merits.
The trial of 44 lawyers who were detained in the press statement organized at the Istanbul courthouse during Gezi Park protests continued at the Istanbul 52nd Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations. The next hearing will be held on March 21.
In the lawsuit filed against Democratic Society Congress co-chair Leyla Güven at the Diyarbakır 9th Assize Court on charges of making propaganda for a terrorist organization based on her social media posts and speeches at the events she attended, the prosecutor's office requested that she be sentenced to a total of 43 years, 1 month and 15 days in prison. The next hearing will be held on October 17th.
The trial of Mehmet Emin Kurnaz, the policy editor of Bir Gün Daily, continued at the Istanbul 2nd Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting President Erdogan and Nationalist Movement Party leader Bahçeli due to the Sunday supplement of Bir Gün Daily published on May 25, 2021. With the headline, "The Power of the Gangs." The fifth hearing of the case will be held on October 20.
The trial of previously shut down Dicle News Agency's Ağrı reporter Abdullah Kaya continued at the Ağrı 2nd Assize Court on charges of terrorist organization membership and propaganda on the grounds of his journalism activities and social media posts. The next hearing will be held on November 15th.
15 dakikalık programımıza sığdığı kadarıyla haftanın ifade özgürlüğü gelişmeleri bunlardı. Daha fazlası her zaman olduğu gibi internet sitemizde ve haftalık bültenlerimizde. Yeniden görüşünceye değin hoşça kalın.